Where does Bitcoin go?
Including the price of Bitcoin.
First, the net. It used to be Bitcoin.
Look at what's been happening with Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Today we're going to take a deep dive into its effects on pop culture. Pop culture being entertainment, music, and fashion. Let's go swimming.
Before I begin to give you all a deep dive to Bitcoin's effect on pop culture, I want to give you all a brief synopsis about the rise of Bitcoin in the recent years since its inception and how popular it is amongst the economy. So let's dig into that before we get into the nitty-gritty. So we might be asking ourselves, how do we use Bitcoin, or what is it, or how is it created, honestly? So Bitcoin is basically just a digital currency that operates on a decentralized currency network. Unlike traditional currencies, such as the US dollar or all countries' currencies, it's not backed by the government or central authority. Instead, like Bitcoin transactions are validated and recorded on a public ledger called the blockchain. This ledger is maintained by like a network of computers that operate all around the world, so you can utilize Bitcoin anywhere. And blockchain basically is just the mining process that computes code numbers that makes each Bitcoin basically unique, so you can tell through the blockchain where your Bitcoin is going and where it's not going. So now, whenever we're looking at this price surge that Bitcoin has, since its inception back in 2010, where it started at 0.09 cents, we can see that it's peaked all the way up to $68,000. So this shows that Bitcoin is truly a staple of economics now. It didn't dwindle. Even in 2012, whenever it dropped down, it still revived itself. So I think we can all agree that Bitcoin is truly a fundamental part of our economy now. Now that I've explained Bitcoin to the best of my ability, because it's such a confusing topic, let's hear what an economic historian has to say about Bitcoin's effect on the economy in general and credit and debit. Hello, who am I speaking with here?
My name is Sam St. Clair.
And what's your education on economics?
I have a BA in history from the University of Virginia in history, but I do like to specialize in economics. That's my fun read.
And you're aware of like the rise of cryptocurrencies in this day and age?
Absolutely.
Alrighty, perfect guy. So would you be willing to tell me about the recent rise of crypto and its effects on pop culture?
I think looking at the whole concept of a currency that evades the whole fiat aspect, where, you know, is interesting from a populist standpoint. There have been other attempts at this in American history. If you go back and chronologically look at the bimetallism and different ways of creating a currency within for the use and by the people. When you look at what the cryptocurrencies have done, they've mainly come in and gone after the popular culture from the standpoint of branding and establishing this concept of faith. And I think when you weigh in what crypto is versus our de facto currency that we use in the United States, I think you're dealing with a rationalization of faith. One instrument is backed by taxpayers. The other instrument, crypto, is just backed by the fact that people use it. Now, it has been used by, you know, the dark side of the economy as well as the good guys in our economy. But the bottom line is, it's not like something you can go out and transact on a daily basis at current. I can't go down and buy a car with Bitcoin. I might be able to, but there'd be some transactional fees and things like that in order to bring it in. But I just personally have never involved myself in it. I see it as I love the concept of blockchain, and the transaction stays always within the currency, and which would make accounting a lot easier in our popular culture, because we are constantly with our debit credit system of accounting. Having something like blockchain might present itself as a better vehicle for people to maintain personal cash flow and things like that. But I think the pop culture, the FXs, the people like that who went out and bought the big branded items and brought in the big stars, I think you're starting to see how they, the illusion of faith that they're trying to establish really didn't ring true. And that's my opinion of it all.
Have you seen pop culture be prominent in, say, sporting events or, let's think, businesses, sporting events, fashion, music?
Absolutely. I mean, that's where they go. They're trying to establish the Quick brand. They don't want to go in there and start, the cryptos went big time. They bought the big timers. And to me, that just signals more of, we want quick establishment. We want this money for nothing, chicks for free kind of lifestyle that it brings into the younger culture because, when you look around and you look at how wealth and the wealth generation, when you take out the sweat component and all you want's free, go for it. I'm just saying it's an illusion. You have to believe in your currency, you have to believe in your work, and you have to believe in your efforts. There is no silver bullet that's going to make you wealthy by investing in some kind of, I hate to say it, but at current, these are Ponzi schemes.
A Ponzi scheme, wow. Well, I mean, they have been big in sponsorships. Would you be willing to tell us about some big sponsorships you possibly have seen and how that you think that affects the branding?
Followed FX. I mean, they went down to Miami and bought out the world. These guys were looking for legitimacy. They were looking for a way to say, hey, we're the new game. And that's, I'm all for games. That's what this is a game. You got to bring in players to make it work. If you don't bring in new meat, the whole thing's going to frizzle. So, do what you want, be what you want. But crypto, I'm waiting around.
All righty, well, thank you, Samuel. Bitcoin is simply prevalent in everything that we see. Whether that be whenever you're walking down the street, you see a Bitcoin ATM, or recently, with the opening of Bitcoin Grill, one of my favorite restaurants, you begin to see these signs on the street, which ingrains it into our pop culture and our mind. So let's hear from the owner of this restaurant on how Bitcoin affected the startup of his company. Now that we've heard the beautiful story of the come up of my boys who opened the Bitcoin Grill, the best restaurant I've ever eaten at, fueled by Bitcoin, and the sign itself promotes Bitcoin in pop culture. But now I'm here standing at the Keith Albee, one of my favorite locally owned theaters. And Bitcoin has a lot of effects on everything, but entertainment is possibly one of the biggest things it has an effect on in pop culture. So, let's look at some movies, some TV shows, and some music that Bitcoin influenced. In an episode of The Simpsons, a well-known show widely watched by many Americans, they mention and show blockchain and cryptocurrencies. And since this show is so widely viewed and a major part of pop culture and television, it just shows the true impact that Bitcoin has because millions of people are seeing this on television and it ingrains Bitcoin into their mind.
The consensus of shared and synchronized digital data spread across multiple platforms from Shanghai to Grenada. Each day I'm closer to being cash of the future. Not in your wallet, I'm in your computer. Oh yeah!
Television isn't the only place where you see Bitcoin popping up in the pop culture of entertainment. You can also hear it on podcasts. Impulsive is one of the most viewed podcasts, possibly, from Logan Paul, a YouTuber, boxer, and investor. And he invites guests on, and they discuss economics and all sorts of things. And in the episode that I will share, they are discussing Bitcoin's effects and blockchain in general's effects on cybersecurity. Now, once again, just like television, whenever millions of people are listening to this, it ingrains Bitcoin into everybody's minds because
And leaving
They
your
are
money
seeing
on
it and hearing it
exchanges
in
like
everything
Coinbase or
from
Gemini.
television
Because
to
hackers
restaurants
can
to
hack the
podcasts now. So
exchanges, but they can't hack
it
blockchain.
truly is everywhere.
They've tried for 12 years.
Fucked.
Yeah,
they
like
lost
a-
their,
yeah.
they lost their key,
Or
or
hacked. Like, I'm
or
looking at-
compromised via some sort of.
So there's a difference between leaving your money on the blockchain and leaving your money on an exchange like Coinbase or Gemini.
Okay.
Because hackers can hack the exchanges, but they can't hack blockchain. They've tried for 12 years now, 13 years almost.
Give it time.
There is literally hundreds of billions of dollars at stake. That is the biggest honeypot we've ever had ever, and they've not been able to crack it.
You don't think they'll
Just-
figure out a way? And
One 11-year-old.
There's only one way that we can crack it right now, and that is quantum computing, which we don't have. It's like perpetually 10 years away.
But that's what I'm just getting at. It's like it's perpetually 10 years away, but like eventually it won't be. Eventually
what I'm
quantum
saying.
computing
Give
will